Okay.
I used to teach 30 years ago, so as I came into this job, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Like, is this even, do people even do this anymore?
Yes. This is never going away. This is good stuff.
So long to figure out how to remember how to do it.
Okay. You're going to get, this will be a good little refresher. And those of you with coaches in your building, they are a really good resource for you. So what we get started on today, and you want to try it, I would suggest asking them for help or just asking them to watch you while you take a running record and then giving you some feedback on whatever. They are there for the kids, and you are a vital, a critical part of the success for those kids. You guys work with the lowest achieving kids in the building, most likely. And they are counting on all of us to do our best. And so asking for help, in my opinion, just shows strength, not weakness. So, and next, I want us to walk away today understanding the purpose of a running record. I want you to understand how to code a running record. And we're going to talk really quickly about how to analyze the results of a running record. And we won't get completely through that, but I think you'll get enough that you'll be able to at least go back and try in your building. Okay? The purpose of a running record. A running record actually can serve lots of purposes. The most important purpose is to see what the child is up to while they're reading. Hey, come on in. I have to stop and ask them the same questions I've asked everybody else. We want to hear your school and what you'll be doing this year in your position. Okay. Do you think you'll be working with kids in reading in some capacity? Maybe? Okay. 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 Well, welcome here. Okay. Okay, great. So we just got started. We're just talking about the purpose of a running record. And that it is an opportunity to see what the child is up to as a reader. So we're looking at them as a whole and the whole picture of them. It shows what the child is actually doing while they're reading. What strategies are they using? Are they always sounding out words? Do they go back and reread for meaning? Do they put words in there that seem crazy? Are they using visual information to look at the word and make a good guess or strategies to sound it out? And it helps us know what to teach. So after we take a running record, we can look at it and gain tons of information and think, wow, I had no idea this child was repeating phrases so many times during reading. Or, oh my gosh, I hadn't realized how many times this child has to stop and sound out words. So it's just a place for us to look and decide what it is, what are their strengths. That's super important, by the way. When you're working with kids, always tell them their strengths. And I always make it a point after a running record or after a kid reads it any time to say, I love the way your voice changed when there was a question, or I love the way you sounded out that word and reread and got it. So we always want to focus on what they're good at, because more than likely you're working with kids who, like I said, aren't great readers, and they need you to tell them what they can do. So always stop and do that. Next important part about running records is that it's going to tell us if the reading level is too hard, too easy, or just right, which is just right for instruction. And that's also a really important purpose of a running record. Okay, there are a couple ways you can take running records. In your packet, you should have a script like this. This actually came from an LLI kit, so if you are working with kids in LLI, you have running records available to you through the kit. And it even prompts you in the teacher's guide when to give them. if you're not using LLI, but you know you're going to be taking running records, schools are full of running records. You just have to know where to look. So the teacher's textbook, Journeys, has running records in them, and you can get with the teacher and ask for those. Online, reading A to Z, slews of leveled reading where there's running records and you have the script on the page and you can take those. Okay, so in your packet you'll see the one with the script, and then there's also one without, because you can take a running record without any script at all. You can wing it with check marks. Of course, both of these methods have strengths and have downfalls. It's difficult when you're learning, especially to use blank paper, but it does free you up to use any book you want to. So that's the upside. The text, the downside might be that you have to use that particular text on whatever. You might not have them available to you, but it certainly makes it easier when the script is here and it's all available for you to see. So, you know, whatever works. Before we, we are going to actually learn how to code, and we're going to practice. I have a video for you guys to practice and help each other out. But before that, because there's so many different levels, some of you sound like you've taken running records, some of you sound like, well, I don't really know, and maybe I'm not even sure what this is. I have a short video. It's like 2 minutes just to show you what a running record looks like in action. If I can find it. I would love to show it. There it is.
The title of this book is I Can Help. In this story, a young boy tries to show his sister that he can be helpful even though he is small. Let's read the book to learn more. You should now briefly read them with me. Alex? Ty? Alma? Good job. Thank you. Clyde?
Okay, so if you notice on the video, what you're going to be doing today as we move forward is exactly what she's done here. Ooh, shoot, I meant to pause it. And that is looking at a script and making code. So you see in that first line, the student tried to sound out Alex or didn't really have a good handle on it, so the teacher told. So she codes that. The student said, she said Tim. The word was tie, so she coded what the child said. The child said shoes instead of sneakers, so she coded that. There's other codes as well. You can see in the third line where she says, yes, I, and then self-corrected. She coded that. Anytime, anything, and I even encourage you to start coding things that you notice about fluency. Coding things that you notice about when they sound out words. And you can make notes to the side when I say code it. Like, I'll jot down things like didn't stop at periods. Just so I remember, because when you leave that situation and then there's 50,000 other things happening, you're going to forget that he didn't stop at periods. But if you just jot it down, you'll remember. Those help. That's all data for you for your teaching. So that's what it looks like in action. We're going to look at,
Why did you only mark them all 2 on that top line?
Because we don't code tolds as errors. So when she told the student Alex, it doesn't count as an error. Sometimes kids will say, or they'll just sit and sit and sit.
Right.
It's not an error. They didn't attempt the word, but we don't code it like an error.
I thought you gave them like 10 seconds.
You can say, and you can tell them, but when you're adding up the number of errors, it doesn't count. But keep in mind, that's data for you. So if this came back and we had, say, I don't know, right now we've got 4 tolds in that small part, okay? That is good information. She might pass as a easy or instructional level, but I'm certainly going to want to work on her feeling more confident and having strategies to sound out those words and make attempts. So even though we don't score it that way, we want to know that because that's my teaching. Hey, we got to work on this. I'm having to tell you a lot of words. Let's see what we can do to give you some strategies to sound them out or reread. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just new information. See, you didn't know that. We also don't score if they omit a word. We don't count that as an error. If they leave it out, or if they.
That's not an error.
Huh?
The one because she didn't say thanks. That's not an error.
Right.
You just cross it out.
Yep, doesn't count as an error. And it also, anytime they insert a word, that doesn't count. So in this case, in the column, the E column, she's putting down the number of errors in each line so that at the end of the reading she can give the student an accuracy score. Okay, so that's what it looks like, or at least the coding portion of it. And so what I want to do next is I ask you to take out the handout that looks like this. You actually have 2 sheets. I gave you this one, and this one's really nice because it kind of gives you some good explanations. But then there's also a sheet that comes in your LLI kit. I had it, but now I can't find my copy. Maybe this is it. Yeah, this. If you're doing LLI, this is a nice handy sheet. Everything is on there about how to code errors and self-corrections and tolds and omissions, and all of that is here, and it's nice and ready to go. And then this one is nice because it shows you how to code errors with text and without text. And there's nice descriptions above each one. So they're both really good resources for you to have handy. But we're going to look at the one that has the handwriting on it first. Actually, the only one we're going to really look at. All right. Pull it up here. Okay, so on this you will notice that if the child reads the words correctly, it is suggested that you put check marks above the script. So the text reads to the house, and they read them correctly, so they put check marks above. In the video, that person didn't put anything, and that's okay. It's right. It's really a personal preference, I believe, especially if the child's reading really fast. It's hard to keep up with all the check marks. The important part is that you're coding any errors. So that's really up to you, but it is suggested that you use check marks. On a blank running record sheet, you really need to use check marks. It really isn't an option because you want to make sure you know, oh yeah, there were 10 words on that line of the book, and I should have 10 check marks or 10 indications that there were words. Whether if there was an error, I need to show that too. But do you see what I mean? And then when you go back to look at the text with the running record, you know what line they were on, and that can be challenging, especially when you're having to look at the text and code off to the side. So it's challenging, but it's done. I see it done every day at Klondike, so I know people are very successful at it. When a child makes an error, you would, just like on the video, the text is below, the word was dog, and the student says wolf. So you put a line and you put the word the child said above the correct word. In the case of the video, she didn't draw the line. It doesn't matter, does it, right? I mean, we're just coding the error. In this next case, the child says wolf, no, and then they try fox. Every time they make an attempt at the word, you want to write it down. And if there is no text, you are responsible for writing the text. So you have to write the word dog and then put the word wolf above it. And the same for, you're just writing it in instead of making the line just over the word in the text. If a child inserts a word, you're going to put this little caret, the pink pig. Kids do that a lot. They just put these random words in. Sometimes I don't even hear it until it's still like, hey, I think they said, because it usually makes sense, but it's not there. So you're going to put a caret and you're going to put the word pink. If there's no text, you're going to put this dash because there's no text there, and you're going to put the word they said above it. And remember, we said those don't count as errors when we're tallying, but we definitely want to code it. Because if we notice a kid's always inserting words, that's an issue. This next one, this one is an omission. Also not counted as an error, but we definitely want to make sure we note it on our running record. You just put a dash above the word they did not say. Or I put an O. That's just how I learned to code. It's really what you like to do. And then if there's no text, you have to write the word and put the dash above the word you wrote. The next one is what hangs me up a lot because it sounds silly, but just to draw that box and to remember what words they went back and repeated. I don't know why it hangs me up, but it does. So you put the bracket around the group of words that the student repeats. Every time they repeat that group of words, you would tally. And I always put tally marks. So if the child says he went to the car, there's 1. To the car, there's 2. And you'd be surprised. Sometimes they're doing that because they see that next word, but they don't know what it is. So they keep repeating. And then the same when there's no text, you're going to want to code that around check marks. No. But it's data, right? Because if kids are always repeating and repeating and repeating, it's probably going to interfere with their comprehension at some point, and we want to make sure we've addressed it. I mean, if they do it once or twice, but you know what I mean, if it's habitual. The last thing on this page is self-corrections, and this is what we want. We want to see kids correcting their errors. So the word was dog, the child said fox, and then realized it was not fox. Usually those self-corrections fall into these repeats with errors. So the kid will say, the fox ran. The fox ran, so you have to go back and he's repeating it. And then he might go, oh, the dog ran. So they usually are kind of grouped together, and that's what makes those tricky, because they're repeating for a purpose. That's our hypothesis anyway, right? We're repeating for a purpose because there's something hanging them up, meaning, or it didn't work right. So that's why I say those repeats hang me up sometimes, because I'm doing the repeat, I'm remembering the error, and then, oh, they self-corrected, and oh, wait, they sounded that out. So it can get hairy sometimes. Enough of that. On the back of that page shows you how to score or how to code tolds. When you're administering a running record, it's super, super important not to prompt the kids in any way. You could say, hey, try that. You try that. The kid could ask, and when they ask, can you help me with this word? You could say, you try it, or you could just tell them. But we can't prompt. I wouldn't even say, oh, try to sound it out, because that's giving them a strategy. You want to just say, you try it, or just tell them. If they sit and sit, I think someone mentioned wait, an appropriate amount of time and then tell them. So you could prompt and say, try it, but that's it. Don't give them a strategy, okay? And then that shows you how to score that. Okay, good. Let's do the fun stuff. Let's practice. I know that was like, whew, whirlwind. We've learned maybe how to code. Now we're going to practice. I don't know. We're going to give it a try, though. Now the kicker is, can I get my video in the right spot? So be patient while I tinker with this remote that keeps switching to VCR. Okay. See if I can rewind it. Play. Got it. Okay, so what I need you to take out is the text with the words. Yes, I need you to take that out. And that is what he's reading from. I'm going to rewind it so it's not starting. If you hear words, don't worry. I'm going to rewind it real quick.
As you listen to this student, apply what you've learned to coding, scoring, and analyzing this reading of the book. Tabulate errors and self-correction, and record the accuracy rate and self-correction ratio. Finally, analyze the sources of information used in errors and self-corrections.
We'll do that later.
You're going to read this book. It's called The Soccer Game. And then after you read it, we're going to talk about what happened in the story. Okay? The Soccer Game.
The soccer game. Those
What'd you say? Let's
play soccer.
Papa.
Papa. Sam said. Sam was good at soccer. He liked to run fast. He could jump and could kick the ball into the net.
Okay.
I went to play too. Jesse said, you do. Said Sam. Jesse liked soccer, but he liked
talks more. Let's play, boy, Papa said. See if you can kick the ball past me. Sam kicked the ball, but Papa stopped it. The ball didn't go in the net. Then Jessie kicked the ball and Papa stopped it. You have to help. Each.
That was
Other boys, Papa said.
Okay, we're going to stop. Really quick, before we do anything, pause, there we go. Before we do anything, okay, usually what I do before I score it, I just think about that student that I just read with as a reader. Just off the top of my head, I want you to just talk with your table. I think you can come and join a group and just tell each other, what do you hear as strengths of this student? What do you hear are challenges for this student? I don't want to say weaknesses because they are things that they will overcome with our teaching. So what do you hear as challenges for this student? Tell each other and then you'll tell me later.
Well, I noticed she had to call herself out because he got it.
What did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
I was just saying that when the teacher told him the word Jesse, then after that he remembered that he got it.
He did. He remembered it.
It seemed like he missed like vowels or vowel pairs that made different sounds, like other, the O is an and want instead of went.
That's an interesting notice. I like it.
Right, I said J. Yeah. Yeah, so that was impressive.
What did you say was impressive?
I mean, after she told him Jesse, then he got it right. That's the difference. And same with Papa.
Yep.
He got it right the rest of the time.
It's discouraging when you're sitting with a kid and they,
Every
you
single
tell
time
them,
the word.
and then they have to tell them, it doesn't seem like any connections are being made. But it's clear he was getting connections.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I want to hear. What do you see as strengths for this child? Give me two. Who has a strength?
Well, it seemed like after he was told a word, he could read it the next time pretty easily. He picked it up.
Almost right away.
Yeah,
I mean,
almost right away.
Every one he remembered.
Yeah, he remembered it.
And that's good. Any other strengths you see?
Seemed comfortable and engaged.
I haven't watched him answer comprehension questions, but I have a feeling his comprehension will be spot on. To me, he seems like he's a very careful reader. Okay, what do you see as challenges? And so let's take a minute to hypothesize about that. Why do you think he didn't even give it a try? Besides the big camera that's probably in front of his face. So.
He would be cold.
Yeah.
Waited long enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Wanted to be right. We said he's a careful reader. Yeah. He might be afraid to make a mistake. And so if it is confidence or afraid to make a mistake, just think really quick, what could you do to help him overcome that?
You could have to find a part of the word that he don't recognize, like a TH, and start from there.
I love that.
Find an ending.
Build on what he knows. I love that. The word other, yeah, he could have easily looked for parts he knows. Build on what they already know. And that is a great way to get them to overcome the fear of attempting a word, or reading in general is just have them look for things that they already know. What else do you see as a challenge for this child?
Good and bad mixed together, but he was pretty fluent. Like once he got going, he was going, but he ignored all the punctuation. So getting into the pause and putting again, that might help comprehension, although we don't know what that is.
Right. But it could be eventually. It may not be at what this is level F, but it could be when he reaches level P. It could become a problem that he's not attending to punctuation and he's flying, or doesn't have good expression. Okay, great. I love that. So before we ever even really looked at anything, you have data. And you could just jot that down when you're done with that kid, like, oh my gosh, I noticed this, I noticed that, I think this. Because we're only guessing. We're taking educated guesses, but we're only guessing why kids do what they do, what makes them use and not use strategies and what they have in their toolbox. So we have to use all we can to help this kid attend to punctuation, to help this kid want to and not be afraid to sound out words. So that's always our goal. So before we ever looked at any score, numbers, added anything up, I have 2 big teaching points right now that I can focus on with him. Got it? Okay, let's look to see how we would. With your partner groups, I want you to just compare your running records with each other. Let's look to see if we coded them correctly. And I might kind of stop you in places, or maybe I'll just let you talk and then I'll pipe in. You can go. but let's just kind of look real quick, and we can we can start writing the number of errors and self-corrections that the student made along the way. So in that, where it says 2, section 2, the teacher, he said those, did you get that? And the teacher told him. Okay, but that we're still going to code that as an error, even though she told, because he did make an attempt. Play soccer, he tried to say pa, and she told him. Now, I want to comment about that. I would have just let that go. Maybe she did it to help him along the way, but I would have wanted to see if he would have self-corrected that at some point in the class. So I would have left it alone, but that's just my personal. I never want to tell them unless I feel it's really important that I do. I may not have even told him on that first one, because if he said those play soccer, I might want to see if he goes back, rereads, and self-corrects. My suggestion is to you is to not tell unless you feel like it's not, like they can't move on unless you tell them. Okay? Let them make mistakes. Watch them struggle through it. So that line has how many errors? If we're going to count, yeah. I say we could count it as 1 or 2. She told both cases he tried. I say we count it as 2, but you can do what you choose. Then he reads along. I made a note that there was this long pause because I could tell he was thinking about that word fast. But he got it, so that's good. Next error. What was the next one?
He omitted me.
He omitted me. Yep. Yep. And remember, we don't count that as an error, but we definitely need to note it. Look, I didn't even catch that. I put a big old check over that. Thanks, guys, for helping me out on that one. Next was want. The word is I want. And he wrote, or he said I went. So that's an error. What did I? Oh, no expression. Yeah, that was the question. Is that the question? You do? He didn't say you do. He was like you do. So I wrote no expression. I'm going to work on that with him for sure because I want him to start using expressions. Made a note about a long pause. Okay, next page. What errors do we see? Did you guys hear anything here where it says, let's play boys? Did he really say boys? Do you think? Think he did? Yeah. Okay, it looks like I feel terrible. We're going to have to kind of move quick. So, what I want you to do is to quickly count what errors you have. Total. There were 114 words in this section of the text, and he made how many errors? 3?
And that first one here.
Yeah. We're going to say 3 errors, okay? So I take the number of words, and this is in your notes, by the way. This is on one of the slides that is in your packet. And it's on this running record sheet, too, the one with the writing on it that we've been looking at. So I take the 114 and I subtract 3 errors, and that gives me 111, and then I'm dividing by 114. So you're just getting a percentage. Subtracting the number of errors, dividing to get this a 97% is his accuracy range, accuracy score. So if you look, yes, on the back page, can you hold that up so everybody can see? There's yeah, you got it. There's a bar with percentages, and you can see 97%. He's actually in the easy range. If you are 100 to 95, that's easy. But I want to ask you something. Do you think would you feel comfortable, let me put it that way, would you feel comfortable moving that child up to the next level? Why? Or why not?
Because of how many tolls you had to tell them.
Okay.
He
Tolls.
didn't even like try.
Okay.
You know, I think he was just waiting.
See, she's got this. Totally got this. Yes, I agree. And what else? Did you think his fluency was very strong? No. What do you want to say?
I just wasn't sure where your EV chart.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's in one of your slides that I don't have up here. But yes, and it's in a slide. But 100 to 95 is easy. 90 to 94 is instructional, which is where we want to be in LLI. We want to be instructional. Anything 90 or below is too hard. Okay? And it's in your slide. So, unfortunately, I don't have time to go through how to analyze those errors, but that is something your instructional coach can help you with. I hope you're leaving with, hey, I can take a running record, I can use that information right then to get a little bit of a teaching plan, and you can take it from there. Did you at least get that? Questions or thoughts or comments or anything? And don't forget to do your little survey. I think I'm at least a 5. If that's the highest score they have, I just wanted to say. Oh, sure. That's what kind of makes it comical. So, yes.
Leave this with you.
Yes, that's me.
Oh, yes, the 2 minutes.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, thank you. I need your yellow sheet. Check that you put all your info on it. And I'll take your survey sheet. Who has a coach that comes to their building or is in their building all the time? Yeah.
And I don't know that you saw my power problem.
Seriously, get with your coach to really give this a try this year and something important. Well, it sounds like you've done it.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I got it.
Right. Thank you.
Check it out, have you? Nice to meet you guys. Hey, lady, how are you?
She's awesome because she's going to make fun of it. Well, bye now. We didn't know if that was going to work out. I thought I was going to be with you guys.
Well, wait a minute.